Hey guys, and welcome to round 3 of the AFLW season 2025. So, without further ado, before we dive into the tips of this round, let's look back at how I did last round. So, the first game we had was Collingwood versus GWS, and I tipped Collingwood by 8, and Collingwood won by 8. So, first perfect tip of the round, baby. Can't say that for the next game where I had Melbourne winning by 15 and they won by 74. Sorry, St Kilda, you beat Adelaide and you do this. I guess Melbourne's just going to be a super team this year. So without further ado, we go on to Sydney, who I win by 30, and they won by 82. We had just 100-point smashings galore, and speaking of 100-point smashings, Brisbane I had by 5. They won by 70. What are these? These are ridiculous margins for AFLW games. And then, on the other end of the scale, I had Hawthorn winning by 40, and then they won by 8. A Hawthorn gettable? I don't know. Maybe the injuries are. And then the biggest upset of the round, I had Richmond by 24, and then the Bulldogs won by 21. So I don't know how that happened, but congratulations, Western Bulldogs, on your first win. Then I had North Melbourne by 50, and that was still somehow an underestimate. They're just going to beat everyone, aren't they? Look, it's over and done with. We got Port Adelaide. We have all games coming up soon, so fingers crossed for that. We'll get to that in a bit. But I had Essendon by 12 and they won by 5, so yeah, pretty good. And then finally, I had Geelong by 13, and it looked like I was going to get away with this with this dark horse tip, and then Adelaide just had the most insane fourth quarter you've ever seen and won by 38. So weird things can happen. This has been a round of some really weirdly high scores, especially by AFLW standards. But it's good. Seeing good high scores is good. This is something people have been really wanting in the league, and I'm finally glad we're having it. So we'll see if it continues on this week as we go into Indigenous round. So obviously we've got all the Indigenous names, so I'll try my best to stick with those to stay in the spirit of the round. So without further ado, we have Dream Time in Darwin, Richmond versus Essendon at TIO Stadium. So the odds are for this game on Essendon. Last time these two teams played was actually that famous draw last year, again in Darwin. However, I don't think that's going to happen this time. Richmond has definitely been in the better form, but I can see a situation where Richmond wants to make a comeback, especially after losing to the Dogs last week. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to tip Essendon by 5, but I'm not as confident as some other people might be. I do see a situation where Richmond just really comes out to try and have a breakout game. Then we go over to our first Saturday game, and it's Henson Park with GWS versus Kawana. Last time these two teams met, Kawana smashed GWS I think it was straight after that game they lost to Melbourne, so Adelaide kind of was keen to get back into the action. They sort of like what they did to Geelong last week. So obviously they're coming off a win this time, but based on how GWS went against Collingwood, they're not beating Kawana. In my opinion, I think I see Kawana easily winning this, so I'm just going to say them by 40. And then we jump to our 305 game at RSEA Park between Uriyoke and Wallatich Marawa. Last time these two teams played, Wallatich Marawa won by only a really narrow win, but that was 3 years ago, so it's really not much form to go off. Odds are on Uriyoke to win, and they beating Adelaide, you think they'd be good, and then they got smashed by Melbourne. But you think at home, I think I do edge towards them. Obviously, Wallatich Marawa is obviously doing reasonably well. I think they came pretty close to beating Essendon. So again, this is another tight game to tip. So I think I'll go with Uriyoke by 10, but again, it's another one of those tight tips. Then we jump to GMHBA Stadium for our other 305 game between Geelong and Sydney. Last time these teams played, Geelong won, but it was very narrow last year. I don't actually remember this game or what happened then, but Sydney obviously are in really good form at the moment. They just smashed Gold Coast last week, so you think it's going to matter for something. So I definitely think they're better, but and I think Geelong also has a bit of an injury crisis forming that could be problematic. Geelong did keep Adelaide to a pretty low score for 3/4 of a game, but if they're losing to Adelaide by that much, they're not going to beat Sydney. So I think Sydney's going to win this one comfortably, but let's say Sydney by 20. All right, finally on Saturday, we're not playing on Sunday. Finally, it's my own Yarraputi versus Gold Coast at Alberton. The odds are definitely on Yarraputi. After all, we pretty easily smashed last year. I think it was our most comfortable win, maybe outside of Carlton. So yeah, I'm just like glad we have a winnable game, and I really hope my girls win it because we need a win. We're at the bottom of the ladder right now. How is this game spoonball at the moment, which is annoying me at the moment? Yeah, I want to get the heck away from the bottom of the ladder. So I think I think the girls are also very keen to get this. We might have Borg back, which also might help. So if that's the case, yeah, I think we could easily win this. I'm going to say Yarraputi by 30. Then we have the Bulldogs taking on Hawthorn at Mission Whitten Oval at 7:15. The odds are for Hawthorn this time, and last time his team played, actually the Bulldogs won, but again, 3 years ago, so what can you make of that? Obviously, Bulldogs, amazing performance beating Richmond last week, but again, I'm just going to back in Hawthorn until they lose. I know Hawthorn looked gettable, especially after they came close to losing to Carlton, but I think that was a bit of an odd game, and I think Hawthorn are going to bounce back. I think they're just going to find ways to win these games, so I'm going to say Hawks by 15. Then we go to Victoria Park for Collingwood versus Narm. Last time these two teams played, I think it was the last game last year where Melbourne won pretty comfortably. Unfortunately, they didn't have the percentage to get into finals. Yeah, so as I'm saying to the Collingwood fans, I'm sorry, but I think your one win against GWS might be your one win for a while, because I think Narm is just on fire at the moment, so I think I see Narm smashing the Pies by, like 40 plus, let's just say 42 for a fun number. Then we have Wallyup versus North Melbourne at Fremantle Community Bank Oval on the Sunday. The odds are for North Melbourne, and yeah, like North Melbourne smashed Wallyup 2 years ago. Last time these teams played, I know it's 2 years ago, but North Melbourne's just gotten stronger. And if Wallyup is losing to Brisbane by, losing 100 points to them, North is going to do the same. In fact, this might be North's first 100-point win. I don't think so. I think Freya's going to find a way to shut down, to tighten up their defence a bit. But yeah, North Melbourne's going to beat Wallyup easy. And then finally, we have Brisbane versus Carlton at Brighton Homes Arena at 5:05 on the Sunday. Last time these teams played, I think Brisbane won, and the odds are definitely on Brisbane. And yeah, after they smashed Wallyup by over 100 last week, you have to back him in to win again here. I know Carlton obviously gave the Hawks a run for their money, but I'm just still not confident in them. Also, it's a Brisbane home game, so yeah, I'm going to say, I'll say Brisbane by 18. So just to remind you, I have Essendon winning by 5, Kawana winning by 40, Yoroke winning by 10, Sydney by 20, Yarraputi by 30, Hawthorn by 15, Narm by 42, North by 50, and Brisbane by 18. So, to come back next time to see how well my tips went, and until we see you again, let's go Power!